Hello, everybody, and welcome to How to Define Your Natural Leadership Style and Know When and How to Adapt for Introverted Women. And whilst we're waiting for people to join, please type in the comments where you are joining from, which part of the world you are joining from today. I can't actually see if anyone is online yet. Sometimes it takes a while for it to come through, but thank you for coming. This is a lunch and learn, one of my lunch and learn sessions, where I'm going to be looking at defining your natural leadership style and knowing when and how to adapt. So hello from New Jersey, hello from the UK, hello from Winnipeg in Canada, hello from York in the UK. It's great to have you online. And the reason why I am focusing on this topic was after my last LinkedIn Live session, I had someone who said that they sort of asked about how they identified their natural leadership style. And it's something that I see time and time again with introverted women leaders, that difficulty in being their authentic selves as leaders, and the image that they feel that they have to portray. Many introverted women leaders and men who are introverted and leaders as well think that they have to put on a persona, an extroverted persona, and act in ways that feel inauthentic. And over time, this can be stressful. It puts pressure on them, and it chips away at their self-belief and self-confidence. And because our many workplaces are unfavorably biased towards introversion, and there's a growing body of research that shows this. My own research shows that people who are introverted often feel that they are less favored in the workplace. And so being yourself as a leader and finding your natural style as a leader, you can often put masks on that hide who you really are as a leader. But not only that, once you are clear about who you are as a leader and what your natural style is, it's important that you are able to adapt your style. And this applies whether you are introverted, whether you are extroverted, or whether you are an ambivert. It's important that you are able to adapt your style in order to get the best outcome. And so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Carol Stewart. I'm an executive career leadership coach, founder of the Bounding Solutions, and author of Quietly Visible, Leading with Influence and Impact as an Introverted Woman. And I am an executive career leadership coach, speaker, author, and trainer. And I specialize in introverted women who are senior leaders. And I coach all leaders, so as well as introverted women, I coach men, I coach people who are extroverted, I coach extroverted women as well. And I coach them to overcome the barriers to successful leadership, such as imposter syndrome, a lack of self-confidence, self-doubt, struggling to have that executive presence or to be influential and make an impact. And I coach them to lead with confidence, influence, and impact. And if we're not connected, do follow me here on LinkedIn. So what I'm going to be covering today are topics that will help you to really sort of dig deep and think about your leadership style. And so I'm going to focus on understanding your natural leadership style, when and why adaptation is essential. And I'm going to be sharing some strategies that will help you to adapt your leadership style. And then at the end, if there's time, I will open up for questions and answers. And I will ask you questions as well as we go along. So please do type your thoughts and questions in the comments, and I will try and keep my eye on the comments to respond. So why does it matter? Why do you think it's important that you identify your natural leadership style and you understand what your natural leadership style is? And please type in the comments why you think that it's important. Let me see if anybody has commented. So it's important because as a leader, understanding who you are as a leader and what your style is important, because leadership is the driving force behind successful teams and organizations. But the thing is, it's not a one size fits all concept. It's unique to each individual leader. Each of you have your own unique abilities, strengths, talents that you bring to your role as a leader. And there are many leadership models and so forth out there, and they're all many different types, and I'm going to be looking at some of them, the different types of leadership, and it's not that some are right, some are wrong. So then there's a place for all of them, and different times, different situations may call for a different type of leadership. I mean, there are some types of leadership which are considered not relevant for today, or which are considered very old-fashioned in terms of the way that people work and getting people and empowering people and bringing them along. But as a leader, you need to be able to guide your team to achieve the vision, the objectives, whatever it is that you want to do, and also to be able to collaborate and influence stakeholders, other departments, other parts of the organization, the wider society as well. So understanding why your leadership style is important, understanding your leadership style is important. And so to begin with understanding your leadership style, it starts with self-awareness and having an awareness of what you naturally gravitate to as a leader, because we all have a natural preference for being. And once you understand that, it's then being able to recognize those situations where that sort of behavior is helpful and those sorts of situations where it is not. And I'm going to share a slide on some common types of leadership and help you to sort of think about what style do you naturally identify with. And before I do that, let me just read a comment here. We've got, it's unsustainable to act the whole time. It drains energy. It certainly does drain energy. Another comment here. Let's have a look from Ruth Ann. To be authentic and build genuine trust, to know how, if to adapt my style and even find my fit in an organization. Thank you for that. So I'm going to share a slide now. Right, so please bear with me whilst I share my slide. So whilst I'm sharing the slide, I think I'm going to go off the screen, so you won't see me, but you will still be able to hear me talk. And so here are some common leadership styles, and because of time, I won't be able to read descriptions for all of them. But what I will do is I will read through some of them. So we've got autocratic, and autocratic leaders, they're the kind of leaders who make decisions without getting input from other people. They tend not to consult with their team members, and it's a case of expecting them to fall in line with what they see, with what they say. You may have heard it termed as authoritarian, coercive, or commanding, and it's very much an old style of leadership, and it's not very effective as it can cause poor morale, low job satisfaction, and high employee turnover. However, in a crisis situation where a decision needs to be made quickly, if there's danger or other sort of high risk situation, this kind of leadership can be effective. But on a general, it doesn't actually empower people. And as a leader, you want people to feel empowered and to take ownership and responsibility, and to buy into what you're saying, not to feel coerced or because you're saying that they have to. Authentic leaders, they build authentic relationships and they inspire loyalty, trust, and motivation with the people that they lead. So people who are authentic as leaders are considered to be integral, they are ethical, they are genuine, and they're very self-aware and aware of their values, and they're guided by their values, and they are transparent as well about their values and what they stand for. Bureaucratic leaders are very rules-driven and task-oriented, and they're very much about regulations and their team sticking to regulations, and they very much lead by the book. They can be a bit risk-averse, and they prefer to stick with tried and tested processes and procedures because they've always worked in the past. But what can happen with this type of leadership? It can stifle creativity and innovation. Looking at charismatic leaders value their individual team members and employees, and they take the time to listen. They're influential, they're persuasive, they inspire, and they motivate others through their charm. They're very charming. And you know, if you think of leaders who are charismatic, you associate them with that charm. They're very good. They have good communication skills and interpersonal skills. And this has its advantages and its disadvantages. It can help boost morale when people are feeling a bit low or you're going through difficult times, and encourage other people to take action. But on the downside, it can be used to manipulate. They can sometimes be self-centered. Coaching leader is someone who identifies and nurtures the strengths of their team members. That they look at their team members as individuals and they nurture that individual, and they take time to develop connections with their people that report to them, and they gain an understanding of what they want to achieve, what are their aspirations, and what is important to them. And they're concerned about the growth and success of individuals as opposed to just focusing on getting a result. And they create a positive environment where encouragement and communication flow freely. Let's pick another one. Let's go for transformational. This style of leadership is motivating to employees, and helps to motivate them to achieve beyond what they consider themselves capable of. And they like to create a culture that fosters motivation, creativity, and encourage their employees to find solutions. And they give people the ownership to make decisions. They're good communicators, and they also communicate on an emotional level to people as well. But if they don't provide coaching and guidance to their teams, it can be draining for them. So because of time, I won't go through all of them, but looking at those different styles, what do you identify most with? And some of them, you know, you may want to go and do a bit further the reading behind, because I haven't read them all out. But which ones do you identify with? And please share in the comments which ones you identify with. And I'm going to stop sharing, so then you will see me again. So let me stop sharing. Right. So which style do you identify with? Can you identify with one of them? There may be ones that you identify as that are not there. Let's have a look at the comments and see what thoughts you have. Right. Has anybody identify their style? Please share in the comments if you identify your style. Just please share in the comments. And so by reflecting on what comes naturally to you, which one feels more comfortable to you, then you can identify, well, that's my natural style. That's the thing that I feel most comfortable with. Reflect on those situations where you use that natural style and the sorts of outcomes that you get, and how you feel as a leader, how people interact and engage with you, how people respond to you. And then also thinking about what are the situations where you maybe find challenging or struggling, because what we're going to do is look at when and why adaptation is essential. And let me just see if there's any comments before I move on. Right, so we've got authentic coaching. Thank you for that. Coaching transformational servant. Thank you for that. Right, thank you for sharing. And you know, this is something that you may need to go away and reflect on as well, and really sort of look at those ones where you feel most natural. They feel most natural to you. You feel most comfortable. I've got another comment here. I think I can be a mix depending on the member of staff, but I think generally I'm more bureaucratic. Thank you for that. Another transformational. Great, thank you. And so, yes, so by reflecting on those situations where you feel at your best, where you feel more confident, where you feel that you are getting the best out of yourself as a leader, will help you to then focus on, well, what are those situations where I may be having a struggle, and the situations where you may need to adapt will depend on a variety of things. It may be, as somebody said, that with a particular member of staff, you may need to adapt your style with a particular member of your team, or where you are maybe liaising with leaders who are more senior, like the executive team or the board. You may find that difficult. I often have clients who are going for promotion to, they want to go to executive level, and the feedback that they get is their interactions with about their interactions with the board, that they need to have more of a stronger presence, or a more visible presence. And so their leadership style, which may work really well when they're with their teams, and the people that they lead, may not necessarily be having the same effect when it comes to managing upwards, or leading and managing expectations of those that are more senior. So yes, do keep your comments on coming through and keep your reflections going. Thank you for sharing those. I think that's it through for the comments. So yes, recognizing those situations where you find it challenging, and you know that your normal way of being isn't getting you the results that you want, and so it's about how then do you adapt that style, and what do you adapt it to. Now I'm going to share another slide and talk you through something which is called situational leadership, and it's about will help you to recognize those different situations, and how you can adapt your style accordingly. And adapting your style, it doesn't mean losing the essence of who you are or being inauthentic. It's about fine-tuning your approach for the best outcomes, because that's what you want. You want to get the best outcomes, and it's about flexing your style, because by flexing your style, it opens up doors to communication, and communicating effectively, and to being able to collaborate with people. If you just have one particular style, that's not necessarily going to get the best outcome in different situations. And I'll give you some examples and talk through some examples. I'm going to share my slides again, and show you another screen. So I'm going to come off the screen whilst I share the slide. So bear with me whilst I get it on. So looking at adapting your leadership style and something which is called situational leadership. And situational leadership was developed by Hersey and Blanchard, and it's a model which focuses on leadership in different situations, hence the name, situational leadership, because different situations require a different kind of leadership. And the key as a leader is to be able to adapt your style to the requirement of different situations. And with the situational leadership model, there are two dimensions. They are directive and supportive behaviors. And both are applied in each situation. And by knowing yourself and your team and the situations that you are in, you can determine what style of leadership is needed in that particular situation and then apply the right leadership style. So if you've got somebody, if you say look at directing, and you've got a team member who is lacking experience or hasn't got the confidence or the skills to do a particular task, and they may also not be willing, then you may need to give be more directive and give them clear, firm instructions and deadlines and monitor their progress closely. And so they are highly directive and low in support. With the coaching, you may find that you've got a team member who lacks the ability, but and may not have the experience, but they're very keen and they're enthusiastic and they're willing to learn. And so what you can do in this kind of style is explain what the outcomes are that need to be achieved, what needs to be done, giving them the methods and the reasons why, and let them get on with it, but remain available to give them support. So these people that these types of team members will be highly directive and highly supportive. So in that situation, you're highly directive and highly supportive. Participating. So think of situations where a team member is capable and they're experienced, but they may lack confidence or commitment, and they may be dubious or questioning, or why do we need to do this, or why does it have to be done that way? And so working with them, it's about seeking their input and encouraging their efforts, and you're highly supportive and low on low directive. When it comes to delegating, the person who you're leading they're capable, they're experienced, they're confident, and they're committed to the goals. They know what needs to be done, and they're very committed. And you give them responsibility, and you give them some autonomy as well for setting the goals or planning and execution. And so these are low supportive and low directive. And if you want to find more about situational leadership, you can go to situational.com. The founders, Hersey and Blanchard, that I mentioned, there's a lot of their work. Hersey and Blanchard that I mentioned, there's a lot of their work on there. I've got no affiliation with them, but I just think that it's a very good model to use when you're thinking about how you can adapt your style. So I'm going to come back on now and stop sharing. So when you think of your situation, and can you think of situations where your natural style is not helping you to get the results that you want, or is not helping you to deal with a particular team member or staff, or team member or stakeholder? And then thinking about the particular individual, what style would be better suited in order for you to get a better outcome, but in order for you to be able to get them to understand what is required of them, getting them to take ownership and responsibility, and communicating with them so that you form an effective relationship and the communication is effective as well. So thinking about those different leadership styles and how you can adapt. And let me see if anybody has any comments. I can't see any further comments, so I will continue. So thinking about leaders who don't adapt and what the dangers of not adapting their style are. So I remember a particular leader where the organization was going through a lot of challenges. There was rumors going around. There were people, the morale was very low, and this leader didn't really understand what their organization, what the team were going through, what the people in the organization were going through, and they needed to be a bit more supportive. They needed to be a bit more understanding and empathetic. But they continued with that autocratic style, which was not helping at all, and that resulted in high sickness levels, high turnover of staff, and yeah, so it was only through coaching that they were able to recognize that they needed to adapt their style because they were not communicating, they were not relating to their team members. Can anybody think of situations of leaders that you may have experienced where they didn't adapt their style, and what were the outcomes? What were the results? What was that like for you, for the organization? And do share in the comments. And thinking about that and the dangers of what happens, think of leaders where they have been good at adapting their style. They may have a natural style, and then you've seen difficult situations that they've handled really well because they have adapted. And what can you learn from that? Looking at situations of leaders who have not adapted their style and when they needed to, or leaders who have been really good at flexing their style and adapting it and getting good outcomes. What can you take away from those observations and apply to your situation? And do share any thoughts and reflections in the comments. I'm trying to think of, I mean, if you think of how we've been through the pandemic in 2020, and that required a lot of adaptation for leaders. People were in situations that never experienced, and those organizations that thrived through the pandemic and are thriving now, their leaders have had to adapt. They've had to become more empathetic, more understanding, develop more compassion because of what people have been going through. Organizations that haven't done too well in getting through the pandemic, many of them have leaders who have not adapted, and as a result, they're seeing higher turnovers of staff. Because the world of work has changed considerably as a result of the pandemic, leaders have had to adapt. So in order for you to move forward, make time for self-reflection so that you really get clear about what is your natural style, and identifying those situations where your natural style doesn't serve you, and those situations, those individuals where you need to adapt a different approach, and then think about what that approach can be. And this is not something that you're just going to walk away from today and that's it. It's an evolving process. It's a journey. And as you face new and different challenges, you may find that you are having to adapt in different ways. But it's about being yourself, finding who you are in terms of your authentic self, your natural self, and identifying how you can adapt, how you can flex your style in order to get the best outcome. Right, so that sums it up. We've looked at understanding your natural leadership style and why that's important. Looked at when and why adaptation is essential, and I shared some different leadership styles. I've shared some the situational leadership model, which can help you to identify the different situations and how to adapt, and giving you some strategies that will help you adapt your leadership style. So my last question to you before I open up the Q&A is, what will you differently to go and live out your natural leadership style and adapt it accordingly? And please share in the comments what you're going to do differently. And whilst I'm waiting for comments to come through, in closing, remember that this journey is about uncovering your leadership essence and your ability to adapt. It's about becoming the kind of leader who empowers teams to excel in any situation. So thank you for watching. And if you need further support, then go to my website, aboundingsolutions.com, and you can find out how I can support you. Follow me here on LinkedIn if you're not already doing so. And let me see if you've got any questions. Please do share in the comment if you've got any questions. Let me get my glasses on so I can read your comments. So we've got a comment here. It's challenging to work under leaders who seem to bounce between styles too much, e.g. they start to delegate and give you ownership. If you have questions or need some support, they misread and start directing. Yes, and I think in those situations, it's about being able to have a conversation with the leader. If you're looking for just questions and want questions answered, and you find that they are misreading, is maybe having that conversation with them and letting them know. Comment here, leadership is a longevity, and as I am willing to learn, I would listen to some other experience and set small goals. Thank you for that, Catherine. Any other questions or comments before I go? And do share what you're going to do differently so that you are going out there with your natural leadership style, putting that into gear, being yourself, your natural style, and also what you are going to do to adapt. Do think about how you're going to recognize when you need to adapt, and how you will do that as well. And key to this is that self-awareness. So do make regular time for self-reflection so that you can increase your self-awareness, and also get feedback. Getting feedback about your behaviors, how other people see you as a leader, can help you to understand how you are being perceived and whether you are actually flexing your style as needed. And let's have a look. I've got some more comments here. I've seen that one already. Does coaching servant style have a place in managing upwards? Yes, I believe that it does. But it's also about being assertive. Because what I find with many of the clients that I coach, when it comes to managing upwards and managing expectations of upwards, there is a lack of assertiveness because of somebody who is more senior, who may be more authoritative, and not necessarily speaking up and being assertive. But yes, coaching can help. All types of situations can help. Sorry, all types of leadership styles can help when it comes to managing upwards. It's about recognizing the kind of situation. If you have somebody who is overly demanding, bureaucratic, or something like that, then it's about thinking, well, what would be the best approach to take with that person? And a coaching approach may work well for a situation like that. Not just on coaching style, use reflective techniques. Yes, use reflective techniques. Anything else? Well, if there's no other questions or comments, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you everyone for coming online. Do keep the questions coming because I will come back and check. So if you do have any further questions, then I will come back and check. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that you will put it into practice. Until the next time, bye.